You don't need to spend hours on researching, analyzing, and crafting content for your website, blogs, or social media platforms anymore. What if we told you that there's a tool that can help you with all of that and more? All you do is just input a prompt and you get an output that's completely new. Say hello to ChatGPT, the revolutionary language model that's taking the modern world by storm. In this video, we'll introduce you to ChatGPT and explain what it is and how it works. You'll learn about the technology behind this powerful tool and how it can help you generate high quality and engaging content in a matter of seconds. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows with ChatGPT. There are some limitations to consider, including the potential for inaccuracies and the importance of human oversight when using this tool. We'll discuss these limitations in detail so that you can make an informed decision whether ChatGPT is the right tool for your needs or not. But that's not all. If you are interested in diving deeper into the world of ChatGPT, we have got you covered. We offer a full course called ChatGPT for Beginners on our website Great Learning Academy that covers a wide range of topics, including the usage of ChatGPT for keyword generation, report writing, summarization, paraphrasing, marketing and social media, curriculum development, drafting effective emails, and even deciding your career path. You can check out the full course on our website by clicking the link in the video description. And now, it is time for you to join us as we explore the pros and cons of ChatGPT and discover how it can be used to make our lives much more easier.
Hello everyone and welcome to this session where we'll be looking at some high-level overview of one of the most recent and one of the most spoken about technologies that has come up in the news today. Yes, you're thinking the right thing. I'm talking about ChatGPT. So before going further with looking at the prompts of ChatGPT, let us understand a little bit about what ChatGPT actually is. So ChatGPT is a chatbot that has been created and deployed by the OpenAI company. This particular chatbot was released for public use in November 30, 2022. Now, that is when there was a large hoo-ha about exactly how ChatGPT worked, and a lot of people started working with ChatGPT in order to understand how strange and how unique it was in a world where most AIs are actually based only upon a certain algorithm and have very limited capacities. So what ChatGPT does is that it actually emulates a conversation with any human interacting with ChatGPT interface. Now, the reason for this is because it uses two learning techniques known as the supervised learning as well as the reinforced learning techniques. These two techniques actually not only help ChatGPT emulate a conversation, it also helps ChatGPT remember an earlier conversation or prompt and reply as per that conversation, or actually implement the learnings from that earlier conversation into any of the future conversations that it might have with another human too. So this is what supervised and reinforced learning actually helps with. Now, what these are a complete different part of AI and machine learning, which we are not going into in this particular course. ChatGPT's capabilities are enormous. Not only can it have human-like conversations, it is also very versatile, meaning that we can have conversations on various fields. Fields like computer programming, fields like music, poetry, writing an email, any kind of professional summarization, writing abstracts, etc. So in all of these things, ChatGPT actually helps us in some ways, and as you can understand, there are also some disadvantages of all of these capabilities. We'll look at the disadvantages a little bit later. One thing we need to remember while having a conversation with ChatGPT is that ChatGPT only remembers and understands concepts and events which have occurred before 2022. So it knows everything till 2021, and then its repository does not really have any data set pertaining to 2022. Whatever it might have learned would be through the various conversations or through the various prompts that have been provided to it during testing as well as the deployment phase. So here we need to understand that there would be some mistakes that ChatGPT does, or there could be some deprecated information that ChatGPT has because of this issue. So let's now go on to ChatGPT and understand the types of prompts that we can give it by categorizing them into various types. So in order to work with ChatGPT, what we need to do is just go onto the ChatGPT GUI and start working with it. It's as simple as that. So we go onto our browser and we click on the address bar and type ChatGPT. This will lead us to the search page with the OpenAI website where ChatGPT actually resides. Click here, and this would be the front page. If you click on this button called Try ChatGPT, you will be redirected to the GPT front end. Now here, as you can see in the front end, we've got a number of examples or capabilities as well as limitations already provided. This gives us an example of how ChatGPT actually needs to be used. So let us see if we can create recipes here. Suppose I'm a food blogger and I actually am very curious about a recipe. I might want to try out a recipe, or even for that matter, I just want to put down a very well formed and well aligned recipe. And I don't have any idea how to do it. So maybe I could request ChatGPT to simply create a recipe for a traditional Italian Alfredo pasta recipe. So, what is it doing here? What ChatGPT would do is, after reading all of the keywords that I have put down, namely traditional Italian Alfredo pasta and recipe, it would give me a list of ingredients and some instructions to cook. Now, please note I've said that I'm a food blogger, right? As any good food blogger would know, this 1 cup of heavy cream is actually not true. So if you look at traditional recipes for Alfredo pasta, it could be any type of Alfredo pasta, not really a fettuccine pasta, maybe. It could be a farfalla or any other type. At the end of the day, we've got some pasta that needs to be created in Alfredo sauce, and traditionally, Alfredo sauce does not contain any heavy cream. So let's see how ChatGPT reacts if it is confronted with a mistake. So here it says that for a traditional Italian Alfredo pasta recipe, we need 1 cup heavy cream. Let us type another query here stating, but traditionally, Alfredo pasta, or let's say sauce, has no heavy cream. So as you can see, it admits its mistake. It says you're correct. The Italian or the traditional Italian Alfredo sauce typically does not contain heavy cream. Instead, it relies on a combination of butter and cheese to create. Okay, so what it's given here is basically that I admit my mistake, and this is the new and improved recipe here. However, if you look at this very closely, you will find that even though ChatGPT has admitted its mistake, we can still push it beyond its boundaries. So let's state a question like, so why did you give the heavy cream in the previous recipe? A question, right? Okay, so as you can see, I apologize for the confusion in my previous response. You are correct. It does not contain heavy cream, and I should have provided a more authentic recipe. Now, please remember this authentic here because it's going to help us. As an AI model, my responses are generated based on patterns and information from my training data. This is again a very important aspect to remember here, because since ChatGPT is a AI chatbot, it has particular algorithms in place which recognizes some frequently repeating patterns, and the information that is a part of the training data is information that is still 2021. So here what ChatGPT would do is it would take up mostly the most commonly seen recipes, and most of the commonly seen recipes actually have heavy cream. Let's see if we can further dig into ChatGPT. So we've already asked, so why did you give the heavy cream recipe? let's see if we can write another question. So, did you give the heavy cream recipe only because it's famous? So as you can see, it actually starts giving this, that the use of heavy cream has become popular in United States, but traditionally it is not. So as an AI model, I do not have a personal preference or bias. I strive to provide accurate information based on the best available sources. And as you can see here, based upon this highlighted comment, you can actually understand that a lot of the information or a lot of the content on Alfredo pasta that ChatGPT has, that it has learned from or reinforced through, actually has this particular ingredient in it, which is why it was the go-to ingredient for ChatGPT. This means that ChatGPT does have some issues. It heavily relies on the information that it actually or already has. And the more the information on a particular thing, even if the information is false, the more frequently ChatGPT will answer using that information. So ChatGPT is not all seeing, all knowing. It actually relies heavily on the type of data that has been given to it. And if the data is incorrect, or if the data has these kind of loopholes in it, obviously our answers would not be 100% accurate. I told you before, right, that just keep this authentic recipe in mind. So, what can we do with this authentic? Let us say that instead of writing traditional Italian Alfredo pasta, I changed my keyword case slightly to authentic Italian Alfredo pasta. Let's see if ChatGPT gives us the same answer as it did before. So you can see the moment you change your keywords from traditional to authentic, it starts giving us something else. Now, why does this happen? Again, because of the type of data that is a part of ChatGPT. So if you look at ChatGPT, or if you look at any kind of AI data, you would find something called tags in it. Now, what is this tagging? How does it work? So it works sort of like what SEO tagging does. It actually has a certain set of keywords that have been given to it, and the reply that ChatGPT gives is based upon that keyword. So if I took traditional Italian Alfredo pasta recipe, it would give me something that is an Americanized version of the original Italian recipe. Whereas with the keyword authentic, it gives me the actual non-modified Italian Alfredo pasta recipe, which does not have any heavy cream. And this can be done even without the prior conversation that we had with ChatGPT. If you use authentic here, it would still give you the same answer for Alfredo pasta recipe, which is a recipe without any kind of cream. But if you use traditional, you would get it with cream. And as I said previously, this is all because of two things: the kind of data given to ChatGPT, and secondly, the type of tags or keywords that you are using to extract your information from ChatGPT. Now, what if not only do I want an authentic Italian Alfredo pasta recipe, but I also want it to be vegan? So if I want it for vegans, then that is what we write. Now, as soon as we write for vegans, you will see that the pasta recipe would change hugely. There are no cheeses, there are no creams. Additionally, you can see that there is nutritional yeast, there is cashews for that creamy texture. So based upon the various types of keywords that you give, like for vegans, it would actually change. Now, what if I want this exact same thing because I won't have cashews if I am a diabetic? For vegan diabetics, let's see if there is something that it can provide us with. So as you can see, since this particular dish is for diabetics who are vegan, you'll see that there are a couple of changes here. First of all, we've got whole wheat fettuccine pasta, which was not there previously. It was just fettuccine pasta. But here there's an emphasis on whole wheat because we emphasize diabetes, right? Next, unsalted cashews, again, something that most diabetics are preferred to have. unsweetened almond milk, because obviously we're vegan here. We've got nutritional yeast for that cheesy feeling, and we've got xanthan gum here, which would actually give us more of a creamy texture, because our raw unsalted cashews would not have the required texture within them, right? So the xanthan gum is an added thing here. So as you can see, the recipe has evolved with us evolving our keywords. This is how content can be created based upon our requirements on ChatGPT. ChatGPT responds to the type of keywords that are provided to it. So that is how content is created using ChatGPT. So now that we've come to the end of this particular session, let us look at some of the disadvantages of ChatGPT also. Now, ChatGPT has a lot of advantages as we've seen. Not only does it allow us to search for certain information, we can also have conversational follow-up questions based on those conversations that have previously been carried out. So follow-up questions actually help us have all of our searches and related queries in one single chat box, right? So as a chatbot, ChatGPT is extremely helpful to us. However, there are some disadvantages when using ChatGPT. First and foremost, we've got the ethical considerations. ChatGPT, being an AI chatbot, does not create content on its own, but relies on the keywords given by the users. So users using chatbot have to be extremely careful about the type of keywords that are being provided to the chatbot, since the chatbot has a reinforced learning system in it. So here the chatbot would constantly keep learning and implementing all of these newer learned keywords into its data set. The next disadvantage is that ChatGPT can easily be used to code any and all types of code in a number of programming languages. These programming codes can also be malware if the user so desires. Even though ChatGPT gives us a disclaimer that this particular program or this particular set of statements should not be executed due to ethical considerations, there is not much that the chatbot can do in order to prevent someone from using that piece of code for malicious purposes. So malware can also be created by using the ChatGPT chatbot. In a similar manner, we can frame various emails like phishing emails in order to actually carry out malicious activities. Again, even though ChatGPT provides us with all of these emails, it does not have any contingency plans to stop the users from using these kinds of emails which have been generated. Another very big disadvantage of ChatGPT is that currently it has very low scalability. The kind of load it can take is extremely limited, and every couple of hours or so, if there are excessive amounts of queries coming in from the same IP address, it starts blocking the IP in order to cater to other newer IP addresses and their requests. As a result, scalability is an issue with the ChatGPT chatbot. Copyright and plagiarism issues also come into play, especially because ChatGPT generates content which might be a duplicate of something. This is because maybe two or more people would have given the exact same keywords and ChatGPT would have generated the exact same content. As a result, it is always recommended to paraphrase the content that has been created by ChatGPT to avoid such issues. ChatGPT, after a couple of points or after a couple of keywords or iterations, starts repeating the responses. So for example, if you have a constant array of 10 to 15 prompts of a similar type, you will find that after around 10 prompts, the answers would start repeating. So let's take an example of sun, sand, and beaches. You would see that after a couple of times of giving the same kind of prompts for social media sites like Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, it would start giving the same kind of prompts irrespective of what the type of social media is where you want to post this content. This happens because ChatGPT even now has a very limited data in its repository. Speaking about data and data in the repository of ChatGPT, ChatGPT is also limited by the outdated data that is present within its repository. This is due to the fact that ChatGPT was trained on datasets that have been compiled till 2021. This means that the data there is outdated, and this would affect the answer or the response that you get from ChatGPT for your various keywords. So, this is all about ChatGPT. So let's quickly summarize what we've seen in this session. We've understood a basic idea about what ChatGPT is, how we can use ChatGPT. We've also seen various prompts on ChatGPT and how these prompts can actually help us in various fields of our life. And lastly, we've looked at some of the disadvantages of ChatGPT. I hope you've liked the session. Thank you so much.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new updates or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoy this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on the video for any queries or suggestions, and I'll respond to your comments.